Right, good morning guys. Sorry for the slightly late delay, late start. I was just about to sit down and press go and then the door went. So it's just a parcel to get in, but nothing major. Right, so today's stream we're going to be doing a Trogre for Cursed Empire. So I'm just going to load the graphic in for that. If you bear with me a second so you can see on screen what we're going to be sculpting, because this guy is an absolute beast. There you go, you should be able to see him now. We'll just shrink him down. So you won't be able to see the bottom right corner of my screen because this guy's a unit, but I want him there so you can see what we're working on today. So he is halfway between a troll and an ogre, hence the name Trogre. Let me just grab the picture for my own reference up on the top screen. Okay. Thanks for the like, Sean. Hope you're keeping well. Morning, Chris. How are you doing today? Right, so I don't really have a base mesh I can use for this guy, I don't think. So what I will have to do, I will no, I'm gonna start from scratch on this guy, I think, because anything I try and do that is kind of a bodge is going to cause me more aggro than anything else. Okay, so I've got a sphere here. It's one of the rare times you'll see me starting with the sphere on a production model. But I've literally, Chris wants a few of these guys made at some point, so I need to factor in a base mesh for them at least. So let's put a mark on there so I can see the front of the thing. So we're going to just drag up the shoulders, use some big movements. Chris, 3 hours already today. Nice. So Chris has commented in the chat about HOT cards, 2nd edition. HOT is the Heroes of Thargos, which is the current card game, and on the kind of the production side chat that Chris has been running, there's been a few previews of like the new card layouts and things, and I have to say everything is looking absolutely cracking. So you know, it'll be one to watch out for. Build on the success of the first game, and then obviously you'll have all the RPGs and everything to plug into, I imagine, by the time that one goes live, and the war galleys and all the other good stuff. Okay, so I'm just getting the torso roughly shaped out. I'll do the torso first, then we'll give him some legs and arms separate so I can get them posable. But for the actual core body, let's just, I don't want to give him too perky a bum because that'll just be weird. So Chris, have you got any specific requests for this guy, or do you just want me to just follow the artwork and kind of do my best on that? Oh, no worries, mate. We'll do that then. I don't think this really looks like anything at the moment. I don't know if you can even tell what I'm sculpting here. But I think it'll start to come together at some point. But the shapes mean something to me, but whether they mean anything to anybody else, that's a totally different case entirely. Again, I want to try and avoid making this guy look too just muscular. I mean, I know he's a big, powerful creature, so he's going to have muscle, and he may not be that well fed, so you're probably going to see quite a lot of it. But I think he needs to look almost a little bit, I don't know, a bit saggy and baggy, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not going to be perfectly toned or anything like that. He'll have a lot of muscle, but you know what you see the strong men, and they've got the, you know, you look at him and you kind of go, you know, God, he looks fat, but actually it's just pure power. So I think he kind of needs a little bit of that. So I'm probably going to lean into that rather than just muscle, if that makes sense. If that works for you, mate. Laurent, thank you for the like this morning. Yeah, this is one of the very few times you'll see me cheat on the anatomy an awful lot by using a pre-made base mesh and stuff like that, which, you know, I've already got my dimensions and my proportions and stuff laid out for them, and I know they work for me, and I'll use them quite a lot of the time. But then sometimes when you get something like this where it's like, you know, it's a little bit different. So this is when you kind of have to put your actual anatomy skills to the challenge. Like I say, there's a little bit of real anatomy here, and there's a little bit of exaggeration going on. So I need to try and figure out the kind of muscle structure of this neck. And it looks like we've got a big armoured kind of cuff around it, so it might not entirely be visible. So we'll see how it goes. Right, now yesterday I made a massive mistake with my stream, and I was sitting around looking at it thinking, oh my god, there's nobody on. Yeah, that's fine, mate, that's fine. What I'll do is I'm going to make sure, oops, clicked off it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the Scorpion Darken in. Well, actually I might take the Crimson Knight. Let's append I'm just going to append that into the scene. Oops. So I think about that size should do it. If I put the floor about there, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 puts into about this line here, just below the bottom of the circle, or just above the bottom of the circle rather. So let's just bring him up and just enlarge his torso a touch there. Triel, thank you for the follow. Right, now do excuse me this morning because I've got what I feel like is the beginning of a cold coming in. I've got this horrible throat thing going on that is just... I'm going to end up clearing my throat quite a bit, so I do apologise if it becomes an annoyance. Theo, how are you doing? Shh, don't tell the boss. What are you doing for work today? Anything interesting? Let's just move some of this out just to kind of like level it through. Very nice. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I say aside from the groggy throat, I'm just trying to get a head down and crack on with some work while the kids aren't here. So we've got the weekend coming up, haven't we? So thank you very much. So yeah, that'll be about, and we'll have all kid stuff going on. Yeah, go for it, Chris. I'm going to put a coffee on myself in a bit. I've got the dregs of a cold cup of tea here that are just going to keep me ticking over, but not sure how long for. Okay. So yeah, getting the anatomy roughed in like this, what I find sometimes is using the clay builder brush, you can get quite a nice... I quite like the texture it leaves on the surface. Especially when you're doing muscles. I tend to sculpt muscles going in the direction that the muscle would go, like the direction the muscle fibres would be going. So when you put a tiny bit of smoothing across it, you get this kind of like fibrous look that lends itself quite well to doing, you know, like muscles and sinew and stuff like that. So I do tend to, you know, little tip for anyone who's doing it is like follow the direction of the fibres. Same if you're doing like wood grain or something like that. Right, I've stuffed up here somewhere. Let me just mirror and weld this. At some point I turned symmetry off and I managed to move some of it so it's not symmetrical. It's not the end of the world because the symmetry's not gonna last forever, but I do need it at the moment just for this initial block out phase. So this is the first time any of you will have seen me sculpt like a monster on stream. I promise you it will not be the last. Let's just hide the guy next to him, just because we don't need to. Hey, the the YouTube bot's back. Anybody wants hot girl pics for you, then don't click that link 'cause it's going to be dodgy as hell. Morning, Kev. How are you doing today, mate? Hope you're keeping well, dude. Thank you for joining the stream today. What have you been working on lately, Kev? The laundry duty, mate. Love it. Yeah, what I completely screwed up on yesterday's stream was the stream itself. For like 90% of the whole thing, I had like one viewer, and I thought, oh my god, this is absolutely dire. And it was only after the stream had finished I realised it was Thanksgiving. So anybody in the States was busy eating themselves into a food coma or preparing for it, so I didn't even register that fact until after the stream had ended. So yeah, I did feel a bit daft at the end of that, to be fair, but it was a quiet stream. So I'm just gonna try and make this guy look. I mean, he's looking ripped at the moment, but well, yeah, I know people are busy, aren't they? And I don't normally stream on a Thursday, to be fair. So like, it was unscheduled, and I just thought, I'm sculpting, I'll just pop it on the. Yeah, well, this is it. Being UK based, you've got the time difference is always an issue, isn't it? But I do seem to have quite a lot of Americans on the stream, a lot of Europeans as well. But you know, still building the audience at the moment. So you know, hopefully the following grows and word gets around and more people come and join and see what I'm working on. So I've just put my my new website live as well. So that's I've got like a big Black Friday grand launch sale type thing running on there. So I'll be doing a bit of promotion for that over the next like week or two, giving that a good push. Well, a week or two. It'll be an ongoing thing from here on out, really. But oh, brilliant! Cheers, Chris. I was going to have a chat to you as well, Chris, about your production side of things. I did have a. I won't chat to you about it now, but I was thinking, obviously, because I'm just starting to offer like resin models and everything else. I was going to have a chat to you to see about if we can organise a what do you call it, like an affiliate, like referral type thing. Because it might make it easier for your production side of things, and like ongoing sales and stuff. If we're kind of like, you know, working together on that side of things. So I know you got your printer in for Tony to be able to kind of like start picking it up, but I'm potentially looking at having to build up a big like print kind of farm to be able to kind of get all my stuff out. And I know your game is using a lot of my models in the get my words out. A lot of my models in the game as well. So that because of synergy there, I was wondering if it makes a little bit of sense. I'll have a chat to you after the stream's finished anyway. We can I'll show you through the site and whatever, and we'll see about making it work. But it's going to need like plugins and stuff to be able to trace referrals and stuff. So I need to have a proper delve into how that kind of thing works, because I'm new to Shopify myself. So I'll say that the building the Shopify site was pretty easy going, to be fair. It wasn't a difficult thing. It was just, God, it was time consuming putting all the products together. Thank God I had Hayley on that one. So right, what I might do this guy's neck in 2 parts, because it's going to be an absolute pig to pose. Right, so we're going to have, I think it's going to be composed, there's going to be a big back muscle here, like the, what do we call these? Are those scapular contractors, are they? Back of your neck, or is that on the back of your shoulder? I can't remember. So I have these big contracting muscles here. We're going to need a couple of sides. we go. Right, so body mass is roughed out. Let's get an arm on. Let's go for a cylinder. We're just going to sculpt one arm, and then we'll copy the arm and Kev, I think you might have missed a bit when I said I specifically didn't want to give this guy's butt too much love. So he's called a Trogre. So he's a cross between a troll and an ogre. He's the first kind of like monster creature we're doing for the Cursed Empire game. So first of many. So I think what we're going to do is I was going to bring, let me just, so my brain's not engaging for thinking and talking at the same time today for some reason. There we go. So I'm just going to stretch that out. So he's got longer forearms. So this guy's got a very kind of Lord of the Rings cave troll kind of vibe going on. So I think his back needs to be out more. His neck certainly does. There we go. So just going to hench him up and stoop him down a bit. Right, so I'm just going to use the move tools for a second just to kind of nudge this into an approximate shape. Careful, what hobby projects you've been on then? You've been doing your was that post I saw the other day? You got like the Necron, was it a Sister of Battle or something like that on there? I'm really rubbish with the GW models, by the way. I don't know what any of them are called anymore. I used to, and I completely lost touch with it around about 5th edition or something like that. I don't even know what edition they're on actually. They're nice models anyway. Look like they're going to be fun to paint. Oh, they're getting ready to launch another version, are they? Can I not just pick a version and stick with it? I'm gonna give this guy some like proper like elephant skin on his elbows, I think. He'll certainly not be having like nice soft skin. There's not a pot of moisturiser big enough for this guy, I don't think. Do you know what? I feel your pain, mate. Like actually producing content is hard going. You know, I'm trying to sculpt models here, and I'm getting them done because I'm doing them on stream. But like, if I had to go back and try and, when I first started doing this, my actual plan was I was going to sculpt on stream, and then I was going to take the videos, go back and edit the videos, and use them as like a tutorial video with like a voiceover explaining what was going on. There is no chance on this earth that I will ever have the time to do any of that. So it's never going to happen. So not how I wanted it to, at least. Yeah, live streaming is definitely easier. You just have to kind of make sure you're appealing to the audience, trying to get the crowd right, and that's a challenge in itself. Do you know what I mean? Trying to build the audience, but somebody else got on the hobby plate at the moment then? Chris is busy getting ready for the up and coming games. Yeah, you're dead right there, Theo. The thing, so basically recently I've been thinking about kind of the way I work and the way I do my Patreon and stuff. And the kind of conclusion I've come to is that the way the current Patreon model is not going to work with me. So yeah, no worries, Kev. You take it easy, mate. Enjoy your brew. The way the Patreon's kind of been established is all based around. It's basically Artisan Guild, I think it was, who came and set the bar originally. So I remember when I first set my Patreon up, everybody was kind of like using Artisan Guild's model for how the sales were going, and that was the expectation at the beginning. Then we had companies like Archvillain Games and Bite the Bullet and other ones like that have all come along as like big studios, and they also moved the dynamic of how the Patreon works and what people's expectations were, and all of this kind of stuff was, you know, it's massively detrimental to you, to the business, to be honest, because you've got these expectations to be producing tons and tons and tons of models every month at high quality, with these high quality renders, and as you've heard me say before, the high quality renders don't necessarily equate to good models. And when I was doing like ChillCon and UK Games Expo, and I've got my models in the cabinet. Literally, I'm standing there with renders next to the model on the table, and people are looking at the models, telling me that the renders don't do the models justice. But that's because I've sculpted a model that is supposed to be a miniature, not that's supposed to be a render. But the expectation from the customer is that they're buying with their eyes. They want to see nice renders, but what they're buying then is not actually a tangible, viable product necessarily. So there's a lot of issues have been created in the hobby as far as 3D printing goes, and what I want to try and do now is I want to try and break the mold for me a little bit. I'm not saying I'm trying to re-establish the entire community, redefine how everybody does stuff, but ideally what I want to try and achieve is I'm doing this as a streaming thing now. So for me, like, the streaming is the primary bit, along with like selling models, and actually having somebody come along and buy, so if I sculpt a model, I'm looking around about £450 to £500 a figure ish as like a commission rate. So if I sculpt a single figure, the amount of time it takes me to make that figure, that model needs to pay me back £500. Morning, Elston. Hope you're keeping well, mate. So if I make 10 models a month for a Patreon, I need that Patreon to be paying me at least £5 a month for me to kind of say that it's legitimately paid for my time, the time I invested in it. And it isn't, and it doesn't, and that's the kind of the problem we've got at the moment. So, do you know what? I'm just gonna check something here because I've got something wrong. Yeah, 40 ad. So yeah, so like I said. Oh, nice one. Yeah, you do it, mate. You do it. Do you know what? I'm just going to quickly show you all that as well while I'm on stream. Just because I'm very proud of my wife, and she's done a fantastic job. So basically, bringing this to life has mostly been her work. I've set up the page, and done some of the graphics and stuff. But actually, product-wise and putting everything in place, she's done it all. So we've got the new website is live now, so lionstower.com. That takes you through to the banner at the top doesn't actually do anything, but if you come down to the collections here, we've got all the STL files in here and all the resin models here. So you click on resin models, and you can come and order the models, and then the STLs that we've got here, again, all the STLs are here. The way we've got it set up at the moment is the sale is automatic, so you won't see the sale prices in the cart in the shop, but when you get to the checkout at the end, everything you put into your everything that's in your basket will basically get discounted by 50% on the STL files and 30% on the resin. So yeah, have a little browse around, see what takes your fancy, and get any orders in if you need them. But thanks for the prompt there, Alston. I do need to put a filter on here because I've realised this morning that I haven't actually got any kind of. We've got product tags on the different characters, but I haven't got a filter set up to be able to what's the word? To be able to actually like identify the different groups and isolate them. So you're just stuck at the moment, just browsing through 124 things. Right, let's can that and close that and get back on with the sculpt. Right, so that muscle needs to come to there. Right, so it's into there, isn't it? That's the problem. That's where my problem is. Got the bicep position wrong. Yeah, it's actually Black Friday today, isn't it, as well? It's become a bit of a farce, hasn't it, the whole Black Friday thing? It's just a day of the year now where people expect to get, you know, sale bargains and stuff, but because the sales run through such a prolonged period now, it's almost redundant, isn't it? I mean, my sale's running through to the 3rd of December because it's not just a Black Friday sale, it's like a grand opening launch sale. It is, mate. It's a good excuse to buy anything, but especially Liontown models. I mean, if you want to go online and scream and shout about what a fantastic deal you're getting as well, mate, then you know, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Chris, have you got any Black Friday sales running at the moment for your Cursed Empire bits? Any opportunities for people to pick up the Fargos game, or? Oh, mate. Oh, this is bothering me. I've done something really badly wrong here and I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I know it's the forearm. I know this is the bit where the fault is, where the issue is. Ah, there we go. That's it. Morning Skyhawk, how you doing? Right, I now know exactly where I've gone wrong. I've got to try and fix it. Yeah, no worries, I saw that, mate. I had a look, I had a little browse actually. Got some very nice, nice vehicles in there. Recognise a few little, little likenesses to like the old Tau, not Tau, sorry, Elder in there. So if anybody's, it is. That's why most of the sales run over into the beginning of the month, I think, because make sure you capture a payday, isn't it? The thing is, Black Friday deals, it's only really a good deal, a bargain, if you were ever actually expecting to buy it in the first place. So like, if you're sitting there kind of like looking at these you know, nice new shinies thinking, I really want them, but they're a bit expensive. When the Black Friday comes up and they're suddenly there available to buy, then it's a bargain. But if you get tempted by the shinies on Black Friday, then that's kind of defeating the point, isn't it? But yeah, what I was saying was Skyhawk, if you go into our our Discord server and go to the self promotions channel. Skyhawk's posted their web link up there, and if you're into like your epic games and like tank battles and things like that, there's a fantastic collection of 15mm tanks and vehicles that they've set up. So check it out, have a little look and see what you think. But I would be all over it if I was an epic gamer. What's going on down here with these? Oh. Yeah, let me save because I haven't saved anything so far. Oh, nice stone cold brew. Delicious. I'm just going to merge the two pieces together. I don't know why I'm faffing with this. Hey, no worries. I think so. I'm trying to keep the forearm and the bicep separate. I think is my critical mistake here, and they're not, are they? There's a big overlap on your arm, where the muscles from here basically come up into the tricep, into the middle of your arm here. These muscles then carry on down, so it's not like a joint where there's muscles up here and then there's muscles down here. They have to blend together or it doesn't look right. Oh my god, do you know what I've just realised? So the muscle I'm trying to sculpt is here, and it comes down across the back of your arm, not the front. I'm sculpting it back to front, that's why it's not working. Damn it. This is why I should have reference images on screen. I'm just going to get a muscle arm reference. Let's go for something like so what that will do for now. Do you know what? I've screwed up so many things on that arm, I'm just going to delete it. Let's just nick this guy's arm. Scale it and reproportion it. That'll make it a little bit easier to manage, and I'm not going to spend so much time running around the houses trying to get things right. So bicep I'm going to leave where it is. The forearm, I'm just going to drag this out. I'm going to stretch this right down. We're going to make it more ape-like, I suppose. I don't think I was even a million miles away with what I actually ended up doing. But retrospectively, I think I got a twist in the arm. I got a twist in the arm that was it was kind of screwing things up. I'm going to widen this guy's forearms out a good bit as well, so he's got some good heft on these hands. I think that is about the right size to make his shoulders a bit more large and bulky. He absolutely is, mate. He will be a beast and a half, this guy. Oh. Won't let you order physical products. That is most bizarre, mate. Thank you for the heads up on that. I'll give Andy a shout and see if he's got any ideas about it. It's not like a new address, is it, or anything like that? I know you, like, it's not like a new estate or something. Hey Kaz, how you doing? How's the weather in France this morning? Because it is absolutely freezing out at the moment. Good, thanks Kaz, good. So it's getting to that chilly kind of year with the kids are bringing all the germs in from school. I think it's about 8 degrees here or something at the moment. It's quite chilly outside. Oh, nice. Yeah, that'll be doing the rounds as well all through the winter, won't it, now, I expect. People are getting more coughs and splutters and things like that. Even people who aren't showing symptoms from COVID, still going to have coughs and colds and things like that. Never ended, did it, Kaz? So actually, I haven't had a booster in a while. I should get myself booked in. They used to have a little booster centre at the Jaguar Land Rover, which is like not far from where literally at the end of my road, the test centre was. So, not test centre, sorry, the vaccination centre. I was just saying I haven't had a vaccine. I haven't had a vaccine booster in a while now. I should probably be looking to book one in for the for Christmas. But there was a test centre, a vaccine centre, just like kind of at the end of my road. You keep going a little bit as if you're going up towards Birmingham Airport. There's a Jaguar Land Rover facility, and in the I don't know what you call it, like the the shipping kind of like hub where they have all the kind of the docks for the wagons to load up. They turned that into a vaccination hub last year. So I don't know if they're going to be doing the same again this year. Yeah, some of it is. I'm building up the form a little bit, to be honest. But what I'm doing is I'm using the same directions in the strokes as the muscle fibres would use, and then that way I don't have to worry about polishing it completely clean, because we can leave some of these in. Like I say, it gives you that kind of like sinewy, ligamenty look. So you can leave that slightly rough surface, and it makes it a bit more interesting than trying to keep it clean. Big smooth polished surface, kind of, you know, it's alright for painting and whatever, but it kind of doesn't have that much interest about it. So we come in then and do like use the orb cracks brush, boost the intensity up, reduce the size right down. Oh, it does that sometimes. Now you can get like textures for this, like what they call them, alphas. But I never like to use the alphas, so they always look a little bit too samey, if you like. Like they stand out from the sculpt too much. What I'll do is I'll do this and I'll soften it down, blend some of them out, feather in the edges. I'm going to give this guy loads of nice scars and cuts and nicks and things like that as well, to again add more interest to this like mass of a body. I'll mirror and mold that. Let me just I'm going to move this guy to the side. I'm not going to, oops, not like that. I'm going to move this guy to the side. Right guys, I was going to pop you on a BRB for a minute, so I'm just going to have a quick loo break, and then I'll be back in a second, grab a coffee, and I'll carry on. So just bear with me 2 minutes. I'm back in a second. Right, we're back. And Briscoe, how you doing? Thanks for joining again today. So joined in the middle of a quick toilet break, unfortunately. Sort my coffee machine out. So right, so we're going to move on to doing this guy's legs in a minute, but looking at this now, I feel like I've worked on his arms in isolation from the body, and I'm feeling like the arms are out of proportion. So I was going to do some anatomy tweaking in a minute, some proportion tweaking. So every so often I use these Dolce Gusto coffee pots. And every so often what I find, I have to cut them open and empty them out before I put them in the bin, because if I don't, they leak into the bin. Ah, you're back too, Theo. Yes, they leak into the bin, and the when I cut them open, sometimes there's just water inside. Sometimes there's like a whole cup of coffee in there still that just hasn't like mixed in and discharged into the cup. So it explains why sometimes the coffee's a bit hit and miss. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to I'm going to put my... Oh, no, that's not right. Symmetry on. So make sure we're doing both sides of this in one go. Let's just make this fit. Snap on the way back up. Okay, so mate, it's compensating for lack of sleep at the moment. That's never good. I find touchpads sometimes. Is it really cold where you are, Briscoe? Because I know I have it sometimes where it's like when it's really chilly, like the my fingers don't seem to operate the screen on my phone very well. I don't know if it's something to do with like the phone needs a little bit of heat or something like that from your finger to acknowledge the press. Well, I say it's just the electric just being duff because it's cold. Let's just trim the, not trim, but we'll reduce the size of the forearms at the top here, but increase it coming down to the wrists, so we can just give this guy massive hands. Right. That's better. Yeah. Yeah, days like this you can't be able to do a lot of things, can you? Let's get up and get the kids ready for school this morning, drop them in a bit earlier because Hayley's doing all this like PTA stuff, and they're doing the school Christmas fair soon. So there's all this extra stuff going on. And it's just hard work. Oh, where's Kev gone? I've just been giving the cheeks some attention and Kev missed it. He'll be distraught. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's merge the body and the eyes. So let's just rescale him a touch. That should be about the right size. I can always tweak it before the end, but I need to do it before I start firming up things like hair. Suspect. Yeah, it really is. So it is very, very rare that I get given an orthographic drawing to model from. So 9 out of 10 times, if I get any art, in fact probably 19 out of 20 times or more, if I'm working for a client who's providing art, they're providing art that they've had done as an illustration for another purpose. So in this case, Chris commissions the art from Ryan and Martin and various other guys to do illustrations for card art, for card games, and for the book. The models are part of the game world as well, but obviously because we've got an illustration, I can work from the illustration. But Chris needs to trust me to know that I can do it basically. That I can make up all the bits I can't see. So what I'm always looking for in this is, like, in the armour, in the clothes and various other things, there'll be like certain shape languages that are used, which kind of help to govern the theme. So thank you, Chris, I know you do. So what basically happens is you have to look at the illustration that you've got, and you have to put your design hat on and try and work out the rest. So if you've watched the previous streams where we did like the Darkens, there wasn't even a full concept for those guys. So the illustration was actually 4 characters that were part of one illustration, and those characters were only partially illustrated based on where they were in the picture, because some of them were behind others and didn't have legs and things. So it's always a bit more tricky then to try and like figure it out. So what you have to do is you have to look at the shape language that's been used in the illustration that you've got, and make sure that whatever you do beyond that is consistent with what you've already, what you've got visible. And usually when I'm doing these kind of things here, I'll have, like, Chris is in stream now, so if I've got a question I can just fire it to him, and I know he'll reply and give me an answer and a steer. This is not the troll I'm making, by the way. This is this is something else. This is one of the Pixelogic carousel images. So Briscoe, yeah, it's basically the guy in the bottom right hand corner. He's going to be scaled to that human there. Is how big he'll be. So about 60mm tall in all. So he's called a Trogre, so a half troll, half ogre. So yeah, we just need to make it work. So I'm just going to pilfer off this guy again now, because I should have just done it in the first place because it was easier. Take one leg, split that. There's no such thing as a stupid question here. I don't take it for a given that anybody knows anything about what I'm doing. So I don't know what your background is, or you know what your understanding of the industry or anything is, but I will always help to further it if I can. But yeah, it's a weird one because, like I say, I mean, if you watch the stream I did yesterday, before I realised it was Thanksgiving and no one was watching. Yeah, the little baby leg. Yeah, before I realised I was streaming on Thanksgiving and no one was watching because they were all busy eating themselves into a food coma. I did a bit of a stream yesterday, but I had no... it was one of my own models, and for my own stuff I concept on the fly in 3D, so I don't actually work from any illustration whatsoever. So I'll pick up reference images, I'll use kind of things I've just got stored in my brain, or just like my own kind of, like, you know, my own design idea. But I end up concepting in 3D, which sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I can end up doing an awful lot of work and then like scrapping it because it's just failed. So, and thank you for the follow as well, Suspect Tab. Right. Well, if you need anything at all, give me a shout. Feel free to, if you want to join the Discord channel or join Facebook or whatever else, and just ping me a message offline. I'm always happy to kind of give you some steer and direction. But yeah, it's 1,000 times easier to sculpt if you've got an orthographic image. But the only person I've ever had an orthographic from was when I did sculpts for Jazza, for the game he did, or he's doing on Tabletop Time. So every other commission I've ever done, I've either had a description, like a verbal description or a written description, telling me what the character is. And then possibly a couple of photograph references to say, you know, armour a bit like this, face a bit like this, etc. Right? It's very, very pose like this or whatever. Very rare do I get something that is actually good to work with. So these illustrations are fantastic. They're really nice. He's a great bloke to work with. It's just the time zone's a bit of a killer sometimes because of the Australia versus UK. But yeah, he's a really nice guy, Jazza. But Jazza is an artist, and he did an orthographic drawing for me for the character I needed to make. So I think I did have her on my desk somewhere. I was looking for her the other day and I lost her, and then I found her again, and now I seem to have lost her again. But yeah. So the figure I did for Jazza, he gave me the orthographic because it was his character design, but it was only a partial sketch. It wasn't actually a completed sketch. But I gather if you're doing like video games and stuff, people tend to want more. They seem to expect more kind of prescriptive prescriptive art than, you know, being able to just freewheel it. But I'll say, if you're gonna give somebody, the less information you're gonna give somebody, the more you're gonna have to trust them. Yeah, I mean, again, it really depends, because, so for me, for example, if you were to come to me with without anything and just say, here is the model. So my usual rate for a model would be like 450 pound sterling, but then I'm gonna add probably an extra £100 on top of that for the concept, because if you haven't provided me a concept, I've got to kind of engage like thinking muscle. It's gonna sound silly now, but it's a lot more mentally taxing on me and a lot more demanding on my time to have to design something from scratch. Because what I end up having to do then is, with you as a client, I would have to sculpt a bit, send you it so you've got visibility of the design iteration, and then you kind of say yes or no, or can you change this, can you tweak this? And it becomes an iterative process, so the whole thing takes longer. Whereas if you've done the iterative process with a concept artist previously, then you've gone through all of the design aspects, if you like. You've nailed your design down, and you're just turning around to the 3D artist and saying, can you just make this as a 3D model in this pose, please? So it really depends who you're going to use as your sculptor, but also who you trust more. Do you trust your sculptor to design stuff, or do you trust a concept artist to design it? And the cautionary bit I would say is, not all sculptors are designers. A lot of people design because they have to. You know, they'll come up with a design because they kind of need to. But they're not necessarily good designs, and you can usually tell where people are in that category, because there'll be a visible difference in the kind of the models that they do for other people versus the ones they do for themselves. And obviously with the more people doing like the Patreons and STL files and stuff, there's a lot more visibility of all of that kind of stuff in the market now. Yeah, as I say, you're gonna have to invest in the concept at some point along the line. All you need to choose is which point you want to invest it, and that's going to really depend upon the skills of the 3D artist you choose to do the models for you. And again, like if you pay by the hour, you've got to be careful there again, because that whole iterative process can get very expensive depending on how particular you are and how many changes you make. So jumping back to your earlier point, I still can't believe somebody would bite your head off for asking questions. You know, if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. You should never expect everybody to know everything. You know what I mean? sure this guy's got a good amount of bulk around his knee, I think, because the size of him, he's going to need it. Chris, how many toes is this guy having? Are we doing 3 fingers on each hand, or his hand looks like he's got 4 fingers on it? Do you want to do three fingers and 3 toes, or 4 fingers, or what are you thinking, mate? Yeah, you are right. You are right there. The internet can be a funny place, can't it? And you never know quite who you're dealing with at any given time. And people just get stroppy, don't they? Full hand with 5, and feet as well, Chris. Are we doing 5 toes, or what we're doing with the feet? Mono not, thank you for the follow. Hope you're keeping well today. Feel free to jump in the chat and join in. 4 toes, 5 fingers. Is he having are we going to give him like a monkey like thumb toe, or is he just going to have just like a normal foot? What are you thinking? Just feels weird to me doing 5 fingers, 5 digits on the hand, but only 4 on the feet. Not that I suppose it doesn't really matter one way or another. I'm going to give him like a little thumb toe on the side as well for a bit of balance or something. Okay, let's see how it works. If it looks crap, we'll take it off and correct it. Right, so we'll do 1 big toe, boost my intensity up here, just carve them in. I'm not going to, should I? Oh, I really should, shouldn't I? Right, let's do it properly, because this is a base mesh. It's going to make cheers, Sean. I'm not even sculpting a willy on him, mate. It would have to be though, wouldn't it? Although if it was massive, I think it'd make him even scarier, wouldn't it? Well, let's just smooth out his foot. Right, let's smooth that out. I'm just going to bring some toenails as well. Yeah, we'll do all that when we're making him. Like big talon type, you know, manky claw-like things, or do you want them like flat and just like uncared for? Oh yeah, we'll take a lead from his thumb. We'll go for flat and manky. There we go. One big toe. Oops. Wrong tool for the job. So I've got one toe formed in. Let's get that copied. So Chris, did we say he's going to have 4 toes at the front, and we're going to give him like a little thummy type toe? So would you like one sticking out to the side on the outside, or do you want it going inside? On the inside, okay. I need to lengthen his toes really, don't know if we're doing this as well. Oops. Let's auto group them. They just need to be a bit longer. Do you know what I'm going to do actually, just as a point of interest here, just for a bit of mixing it up. Right here. Yeah, I do commissions, Briscoe. You can get hold of me on Facebook, on Instagram, You can email me. Emails tend to get I get so many spam emails in my thing that they can get lost. Your best bet is probably through Facebook or Instagram. I say the piece I'm doing at the moment. This is commissioned for Chris for Cursed Empire. So I do quite a lot of commission work actually, to be fair. But my diary is like properly like ram-chopped and booked out. But if you've got something you need, ping me a message and we can have a chat about it. So I'm just checking my ankle, trying to figure out which bone is the lowest, which side is the lowest. I think it's the outside. Oh, so let's put some big thick skin rolls and folds and stuff here. There we go, like that. Let's just rotate the thumb toe around now that I've positioned it a bit. Alright, one at a time. Let's come in and just detail these toes up. So yeah, one of the other things I'll say as well, if you're looking for a like a private commission, if it's not for commercial use, and it's just something you just want to see added to a range, one of the changes I'm making to my Patreon from next month is instead of basically just doing a set of models each month and just, you know, throwing them out there as cheap as possible, what I'm going to be doing is I'm using the Patreon and the live streams together. So I want to kind of give you guys the opportunity to kind of chip in and decide what gets made and how we make it. So when I do like the models for the given month, everything that is sculpted in that month is going to be given to the Patreon subscribers for that month. So there won't be kind of a big release beforehand. But what I will do is I'll be saying to you guys, right, give me some suggestions for models you want to see made, and then we'll either do a random draw, so somebody suggesting that random is going to get made, or we put it to a kind of a user poll, to a patron poll, and let them all decide which one they'd like to see the most. And it might be I might get through 2 or 3 of them in a month. Sometimes I might just get one, but I'll always do at least one in a month. And obviously I'll try and avoid doing, you know, the same person's thing repeatedly over and over, to just try and keep it fair. So that's one of the changes I've got coming to the Patreon. The other one as well is I'm going to be adding a tuition tier for sculpting. So if you're looking to like learn sculpting yourself, you've got a copy of Zbrush and you just want to know how to use it, I'm going to do one tier which is one-to-one feedback. So you get your sculpt, send me your sculpts. We'll have a Discord chat for a couple of hours a month. So you get like 2 hours a month with me direct, and we can literally sit down and go through all of your sculpts, see what you've got, what you're working on and how you could improve them. So we can have a look at things like anatomy, we can talk about pose, printability, paintability, etc. All those kind of important topics, and hopefully kind of, you know, get you to the point where you're you know, improving in your sculpting. And also I'm going to offer like a tuition tier, where rather than just having the feedback, you can have a few hours a month where I'll literally just go through from start to finish, like Zbrush orientation, like literally teach you from the ground up. And we can cover off things like theory and stuff as well. I have, and I don't know what the interest would be like on it, I have written a full course prospectus for like a Zbrush training module. So at some point I want to do a little bit of a show of interest in that, just to see if anybody would, if it's something people would be willing to pay for. And what I may do is, if it's very popular, I might run it as like a live course, but I want to do it with like you know, like coursework projects and homework projects and stuff. So we'll do like, you know, in a month we'll do a stream, a private stream for just subscribers, where we'll talk about the for students, sorry, where we'll be talking about the like the theory and the principles that are going into the sculpts. We'll get a character design commissioned and we'll provide the artwork and stuff like that, so you've got something to work from. And then set you to task, grade the assignment when it's finished, give you feedback, and kind of help you to improve, kind of thing. And it won't be a formal school or anything. There won't be a formal qualification at the end of it, but it will be structured learning. So if that's your kind of thing, if you're not getting enough from like these streams where I'm going through and just doing all this kind of stuff. How do you find the Patreon monthly release model? I hate it. I really hate doing it. I do a bit of 3D printing, but usually quite varied models, so I prefer to buy models a la carte. To be honest, my issue with Patreon, so over the years, it's become an expectation to just provide loads of stuff cheap. So you've got like me as a 3D artist making stuff. I earn a living at this. This is my day job, so I have no other sources of income apart from what I make here. And I spend, let's say, somebody commissions me for a single figure, I'm going to be charging £450 for that model, $550 if I'm designing it as well. So the cost of the sculpts in a monthly release, typically I do, I don't know, say the equivalent of about 10 models a month would be my typical kind of like release. I do 10 models a month. That is £4,500 worth of sculpting. Now I know the individuals who are buying the products are not commissioning the pieces, but I did 1 month a while back, and this just illustrates the whole thing for me. I did 1 month a while back, and I released 45 models in the month. I've done it a couple of times since where I've done like big releases, but this 1 month, it was the first time I ever did it. 45 models went out in a month, and it was like there was a huge variety in there as well. But they were kind of, it was when I first did the King's Guard, and I did the King's Guard, Glaive Guards, Shield Guard, Great Swords, and some mages. Did them all in the 1 month, put them all out there. And I still had, this is for $8.50, $8 I think it was I was charging at the time. For $8 they got 45 models. I still, in that month, had somebody cancel their subscription citing not enough value for money as the reason for cancelling. Now, if 45 unique sculpts for $8 isn't good value for money, what is? And this is the problem with the Patreon side of things. Like, if I sell a model through my store, they're like $4 or $5 a piece, or £4 or £5 a piece. Those models, I would actually rather sell the 10 models separately at £5 a piece, and make £50 from the sale of them, than have somebody on the Patreon sign up for Patreon for £7 or £8 and get them all for the £7 or £8. But that's the way things work, and that's the expectation. So what I'm trying to do at the moment, I'm trying to reorientate my Patreon. So the Patreon is back to the origins of Patreon, which is supporting the artists. So this is people who like my work and they want to kind of support me, rather than people who just want a load of cheap stuff every month. So yeah, and I totally get what you're saying here. What I'm going to be doing for my patrons, in the same kind of thing, is rather than, I will still give you the models I've made in that month, so you'll still get those, the new monthly releases. They'll still be available to you as subscribers in the month, depending on what tier you're on. So my thinking is I'm going to do a silver tier, which will be what do we call it now? The silver tier will be access to polls, user information, and a store discount. So the store discount is basically what I'm running at the moment as my Black Friday sale. So 50% on resin, 50% off STL files on my web store, and 30% off resin prints on my store. So that will be included in the silver tier, and that will be around about £7 a month or something like that. So you get those figures. You also get to put into the polls and do that thing what I was saying, where you request, like, you can request sculpts to be done or put suggestions in, and we'll include them. So that kind of stuff there is going to be wrapped up in the silver tier. The gold tier is basically all of that, but you also then get the whole monthly release. So whatever I sculpt in that month that is eligible for the Patreon, that gets released, and you get that as well. The next tier will be like the grey tier. And the grey tier will be like a resin print, so that'll be a physical thing. So you get your 30% discount anyway, but I'll give you a wedge of store credits. It might be £30 a month or something like that, but you'll get like £35 of store credit. So you'll get more doing it like that, by like prepaying. You'll get an inflated value of credit in the store, and you still get your 30% discount. So it's best value for money if you buy in resins to do that. So these are the kind of the different ways I want to structure it, but they're all more around kind of like rewards, if you like, for being a subscriber and being like a fan, if you like, than for, you know, it's not like a pre-order for a load of cheap stuff, if that makes sense. Because the other thing I have a problem with is from an advertising point of view. I have to live up to the Patreon expectations in this monthly release cycle. I have to sculpt all of these models the month before, have them ready, produced, printed, test printed, supported, rendered, and everything, so I can start advertising those products and showcasing them, so that people turn up and they go, oh, this is what we're getting this month. And I'm not in a position where I can do that because of the way I work doesn't facilitate that. So yeah, for me it's not practical, and trying to keep up with all of these expectations that are set by these big studios where they've got, you know, 20 or 30 foreign sculptors on freelance agreements, kind of like, you know, throwing out models left, right and centre for next to no money, with a team of people doing renders. You know, they've got a load. You got these companies, they've got like, you know, 8,000 subscribers a month at a tenner a piece. That's like 80 grand a month coming through the door. You know, if I can get to that point, I'll be hiring concept artists and, you know, additional sculptors. But my plan has always been, when I get to that point, if I can actually manage to grow the business to that stage, I want to actually bring in like trainees and teach them to sculpt. I want somebody sat on that desk there next to me, for example, like actually sculpting with me, rather than hiring somebody I don't know from a third world country who's got a tablet and will knock a model out for $200 or $150. I don't want to work like that. So, you know, this is Oh, do you know, I can't even get my head around your name there, but thank you very much. No, Noxy Productions Live. There we go. Oh, I don't think I've had enough coffee to get my head around that this morning. But yeah, so this is kind of where I want to get to. I want to kind of grow the business into more of a studio, but do it organically with proper training and kind of what's the word? You know, take on an apprentice sculptor, if you like, train them up so that they match my style. Because I don't want to kind of, you know, farming stuff out. You kind of have to struggle when you, like, for me particularly, I've got a, you know, I think I've got quite a distinct style, and then trying to get somebody to match that is difficult. And I did get a Brazilian guy to do a couple of sculpts for me at one point as a test to see how we got on with it. And they were good. They were the Cult of Morkel, if you've seen them. But after I'd given him the brief and told him what I needed and gave him some specifications, I even gave him some models as reference so he could kind of check back and see what he was doing. They still came back with all the micro textures and stuff all over them that you know, it was just too much. So after he'd done the sculpts, what he did was quite good for me, but like I had to enlarge the hands. I had to I basically had to spend about an hour on each model doing like a sculpting pass to stylize it, and like smooth out some of the excess textures and stuff that he'd put on the model. And it's annoying really, because like it actually would have taken less time to provide it as I wanted it. So you know, he's probably spent an extra couple of hours adding all these little bits of texture. And actually, I'd have been much happier if he'd have sent me a shot of the models previous to that, before all the texture was done, and said, you know, this is where I'm at. I could have actually said to him, right, just stop there, don't do any more, just pose it, send me that. That's good. And you're trying to get somebody else who has their own style to kind of like fall in line and you know, do the work. The other thing I've had a look at before, which I would still very much like to do. There's a lovely guy called Dan Starling, and he's a brilliant sculptor, but he doesn't do it full time. And I have met him a couple of times, and you know, we've met in person, and his style I actually think is not dissimilar to mine. And at some point, if it's on the cards, I'd quite like to get him on board so we can do some work together. But it's all cost prohibitive. Do you know what I mean? It's the money side of things, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. And I think, I mean, for me, it'd almost be a case of going to like, you know, like almost like a, I don't want to say secondary school is a bit young, but like go to like a college or something like that, where people are doing, you know, just general artwork, see the art that they're producing, and just, you kind of need somebody who's got an understanding of, they've got a style and they've got an understanding, but they're also interested in the hobby side of things. Because I think there's too many sculptors out here at the moment who are not hobbyists. So, and again, if you don't know me and who I am, I've been collecting models since I was 5 years old. So I turned 39 this month. So that's 34 years of painting miniatures. You know, general hobbying and stuff. So I'll just quickly show you on the Discord channel, but I was actually sitting up doing a bit of painting last night. So I'll show you through a couple of my paint jobs. So you can see what I'm talking about. Thank you for the follow. Very long name. So these are models I've been painting recently. So these are my Merigons from my last D&D session bit. So this is where I've been doing some stuff with Descent into Avernus. These are my Merigons. I've been working on the flesh last night, so I just need to put some glazes in there and sort out the tone a little bit. The gold's done now, that's pretty much finished, and I've got to go back in and do all the fabricy bits. Then we got my what we call them, mercenary company. So these guys are work in progress still. Done the leather, I've done the cloth, I've done the armour. I've just got to basically finish doing like faces and hair and things, and then the bases. So like these are oh, here we go, my bouncers. So they're from the Low Lantern, the Low Light Tavern. So again, they're half done on my painting desk. Eleanor and Griblet, so she's pretty much finished now. I just need to do the fire in a hand and paint a base, and then we've got to get Griblet done so he's ready to rock. And then my Zachnafane model from the Legend of Dritz books. So nice challenge there, painting a drow elf. So thank you very much. So yeah, so these are like the things that are on my painting desk. But this is to say, I print these models myself. I paint them all, and it's a hobby for me as well as a job. I'm just going to get another coffee brewing, and it's I'm in a minority and I know it. Do you know what I mean? There's an awful lot of people out there who don't paint their own models, and if they don't paint their own models, they're not going to be able to appreciate the intricacies on them and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And there are times when I've sculpted something and then I realise I've made a mistake, or I've overdone it with some detail somewhere, or I've made something too thin, and wherever I can go off and I can either update the sculpt if I've got time to do it, or I just learn. If it's not too serious a detail, I'll just learn from it. So one of my examples of a print I need to go back and revisit. I did a Cambion last month, I think. So like big guy, big wings. He's on my web store, but when I actually printed him, I'm trying to see if I've got him on the desk here. He might have made it into the bin. But basically, I realised the wing membranes on his wings, they were just too thin. To the point where when I held it up, it was like virtually transparent because it was like so thin in some areas. So that one I do need to go back and adjust the sculpt and just correct that. So it's there you go, more coffee. I might be able to get some words out of my mouth and speak properly, but I may also be able to pronounce your name properly soon. Soon. Okay, so let's get this done. So yeah, so like I say, there's a whole kind of like load of issues with the current state of the market, and it has become saturated with like non-hobbyists and stuff. It's like historically, looking back, if you look at like the old Nottingham-based companies like Games Workshop and stuff, where most of the hobby industry started, a lot of these miniature companies, they were all hobbyists who were just kind of doing it for a little bit of pocket money on the side. And then with COVID, everybody's kind of had to adapt their hobbying. And what's ended up happening is a lot of people have picked up 3D printers with no hobby experience. They've picked up these 3D printers, they don't really know what to do with them, and then they've discovered miniatures as a byproduct of this new magic technology they've bought into. So the customers who have bought them are kind of like new to it all, and they're inexperienced, haven't really dealt with these like small hobby companies or whatever. And what you end up happening is something that used to be like a niche industry has suddenly become quite mainstream. There's a lot of demand out there for it, and an awful lot of people have just jumped on the bandwagon and seen it as like a cash grab. So there's a lot of people out there who, you know, realistically, they don't care about the hobby. They're just out there to make some money out of it, and you know, you can't blame them for it. But equally, you know, people who are genuine hobbyists, I think we'll be able to spot them a mile off. So yeah, and this is it, and this is again, this is kind of where I'm at. My monthly offering, I'm done competing with these guys who are churning out 15-20 models a month. Like, my monthly release is a small hobby project for you. Do you know what I mean? It's like last month I did. I've got a bit of it here, but some of the rest of it's on my curing table over the back. But I've got like a couple of horses with a cart and a haystack in the back and a farmer riding it and stuff. There was that, and a few characters that were straight out of the Descent into Avernus campaign. So there was like 4 characters. No, 5. It was 6 characters and a haystack, the hay cart. Sorry, last month for my thing. So if you were to print those off, it's like 2 print beds worth of models. You know, so 2 print runs, print it, cure it, chuck it on your painting table. You can get going with it. Do you know what I mean? And it's a small enough project that you can just get on with it and do it. And that's kind of what I want to try and keep it to. I want to try and keep it to like a small project that you can do in a month, and keep it manageable. And everything I do as well. I mean, I've been professionally 3D printing since 2016. Because I used to do masters for people as well. So like when I first started out, my models, they were all resin. So they were cast resin. This is before 3D printing. So they were cast resin. Oh, actually, on the topic of before 3D printing, in a minute I'm going to show you a funny sculpt, which is I actually found a picture of. Nice sharp toenails, Chris. I've got you, mate. So yeah, so I bought a 3D printer back in 2016. It was an £11,000 3D printer. Yeah, I used to work with green stuff, like epoxy clays, epoxy putties. So green stuff was the main one I used, which is what most of the Games Workshop sculpts always used to be worked in. And most non-digital sculpts are made in green stuff. But I also used to use this one called Procreate that I absolutely loved, and it was like grey in colour. Right, Chris, let's close holes in these. Like, do you want them like this? Squared and broken, or do you want them actually pointy? Is that alright? Like, really kind of like, you know, put you off your breakfast kind of? Yeah, the value of 3D printers these days is absolutely phenomenal, and what blows my mind is like yeah, got you, mate, got you. What blows my mind with the 3D printing is, like I say, I spent £11,000 buying a 3D printer that had a 35 pixel resolution, and there was nothing like it on the market. We had the Form and the Form 2, and they were kind of like not as good. The one I've got is a 35 micron DLP printer, and it's really, really sharp, really crisp, super precise. Dimensional accuracy on it is like near perfect because it's a dental printer. So that's why it's expensive. But that was your only options back then for actually buying a 3D printer for making miniatures with, because everything else that was around was just not fit for purpose. So I had a look around, ended up buying the Sega Pico, or a Sega Pico 2 HD, and it's got a build plate the size of a business card, so you can only get like 2 or 3 models on it. So you know, you're limited in how much you can actually get physically done. And like printing something like this, yeah, exactly. This is what I was kind of coming around to. Like the Sonic Mini 4K came around, and I bought one, and no word of a lie, like the prints off my Sega Pico are a little bit crisper, and they are definitely more precise. If I do a straight boolean and I just remove one piece out of another, like as like a ball and socket kind of joint or a peg joint, I can print them on the Pico, and they literally just fit together perfectly without any kind of like adjustment. If I do the same on the Sonic Mini, the dimensional accuracy is not as good, so the pieces don't tend to fit. So you have to allow a little bit of inflation, a little bit of wiggle room in the joints for things to fit. And that's one of the issues you have with like the MSLA printers. But then we've got like the DLP ones now, like the Anycubic D2. I'm pretty sure is going to knock spots off my Pico. I haven't got one yet, but I'd like to. Yeah, and do you know what? Another interesting one. So like when I first started sculpting my models for digital release, the best printer we had out there was the like Elegoo Mars, so 57 pixel resolution, 57 micron pixel resolution. So all of my original sculpts, they were done to be printed on my Pico. So I'd allowed for all this like this high resolution, high detail resolution. And then I realised that nobody was going to be able to actually print my models and get the best out of them. They were never going to see them at their best because they were printing them on this on these lower grade printers. So what I ended up doing was I ended up doing a sculpting pass on all of my old stuff to simplify the detail down, to make sure that it was fit for purpose. So I got myself an Elegoo Mars. I actually got it for free because I had a sponsorship deal with them at the time, and every Elegoo Mars that was shipped when they first made them, every Elegoo Mars that was shipped out came with a USB stick with a bunch of my sculpts on it. So they sent me as part of the partnership deal, if you like, they sent me a free Elegoo Mars, and I was very, very impressed with it. But like I said, the detail wasn't quite there. So I adapted my sculpts to fit the Mars and what the level of detail the Mars was capable of doing. So now the absolute bare minimum you kind of expect anybody to be using is like a 4K screen. So you're expecting most people will have that 35 micron resolution or around about there, and I'll be getting better quality out of them. So I've ended up having to go back and do some like update passes on my older sculpts to bring them back up to the level of detail they had before I toned it down, so that they now represent better on the new higher resolution printers. So I've ended up kind of toning everything down and having to go and boost it all back up again. But it's nice to go back and revisit the old sculpts because some of the techniques I've used and some of the way I do things, that's changed. So yeah, no worries, Chris. You go for it. Grab a sandwich, mate. I hope these manky toenails don't put you off your dinner though. So yeah, so like I say, the whole thing now, it's gone full circle, and we're back to where we started really with the higher resolution like models. But like I was doing the high resolution stuff to be cast back then, and the problem is always with casts and stuff, you have to allow for the sculpts to be like moulded. They have to be there's going to be a mould line somewhere. The mould line's got to be cut off and scraped off, and then you have to come back in and do a little bit of filling, a little bit of sanding. There's a lot of prep work on the old cast models. And I've been spoilt now with 3D printers. like most of my prints, they pop off the supports. There'll be barely any kind of like clean up on them. 10 seconds with a scalpel just to nick off any little micro supports, and they're pretty much ready to be cured and painted. It's very, very rare do I get any kind of like marks or any like residual supports stuck on a model that need any kind of like extensive cleanup. But I say that's years and years of practice, I think, now. Let's just do a few. This is just, I'm doing this now. I'm going to end up redoing this when we're posing, because these are going to distort and deform, and they're going to have to be blended back in and stuff, so there will be extra sculpting work to go on. But yeah, I'm always happy talking about this kind of stuff, so if you ever want any insider insights on anything, just ask away. Let's just flatten that bit out of touch at the top. Here. Oh god. Do you know what though? I've said this loads of times about Games Workshop. People slag it off and they complain about it and everything else, but when you actually look at the scale of their operation, it's easy to understand where the costs come in. So like if you look at me, for example, my costs are my cost of living. I've got like my mortgage and all that kind of stuff. So it's my wages. So that's my first overhead, is what I need to live. Second will be, cost of running my office and everything else, buying resin, buying stationery and consumables, software licenses, things like that. Store licenses for the websites and all this kind of thing, right? So that's like my kind of overheads. When you look at Games Workshop, so you think how many staff they've got first off. So you've got all the staff who are in the sculpting team or the painting team, you've got the legal team, the admin, the accounts, management, you've got legal. I've said legal team. Legal team's been boosted up massively recently because of like the IP issues with STLs and stuff, so you're going to have a massive extra cost there. Then you've got packaging design, you've got production, you've got all of these teams and they're not just one or two people, they're teams of people that they've got. Bugman staff, you've got the overheads for like the massive Lenton site, plus you've got all of the individual stores that have got like shop rent and rates and things like that to pay. All of these overheads have to come straight from the yeah, I think they've stopped doing that now. They changed. They did it all, didn't they? A while back, they had that Chapter House legal suit where they tried to stop them having all of their. Hey, Pointy, how you doing, mate? They had the Chapter House suit where they tried to sue to stop them from producing all the parts, and they fell on their arse a little bit with it, and kind of set a precedent. And then they went back and they rebranded everything. And all this rebranding they did was all about the oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they've changed that. They've changed the whole management now, haven't they, for that bit? But but they rebranded everything with like copyrightable, trademarkable names. So this is why we lost Space Marine and we got Adeptus Astartes, and everything got more bespoke naming. So people who are trying to like do knockoffs online now, they've got to be a bit sneakier with the naming to make sure that they don't get caught out. Yeah, exactly. Oryx and Eldari and all that kind of stuff. So they can't just get away with just saying you can't use this because it's ours. But what I don't understand is there's an awful lot of stuff I keep seeing out there which is very, very blatantly a Chaos Space Marine, or it's very blatantly a Primaris Marine, or it's something that is absolutely look, Tau, see them a mile off. Elder have got the same aesthetic and stuff like that, and yet they still keep coming out and they're still releasing content and things. And surely these ones should be getting shut down like that straight out of the GW legal side. But yeah, I mean, coming back off that tangent, I say that when you look at the cost that Games Workshop have got as this massive overhead for all of these people they're employing, all of the sites they're kind of running and everything else to kind of get people into the hobby. Oh yeah, the Russians, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, Eastern Europe and Russia, where they're a little bit less tight with the IP law. But yeah, so like Games Workshop have got this huge overhead, and that has to go into the price of the. Yeah, no worries, mate. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining in. Thanks for prompting some interesting chat as well, actually. But yeah, so Games Workshop prices have to factor in all this overhead, and if they don't, obviously they can't afford to produce the products, let alone sell them. And the whole hobby side of things dries up from them, which obviously is not in anyone's interest then. So as much as people complain about it, it's got to happen, hasn't it? Yeah, I know the one you mean. I can't remember what the one's called now. It's Heresy Lab, isn't it? They just do the straight GW knockoffs with the boobs out. Cheers, Chris. There'll be more skin creases when we actually get to doing the posing. Let's get some skin creases and stuff in the knee. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Let's say GW doing well for themselves is beneficial to everybody, and there's no point in trying to compete with GW and do them out, because they've got their own niche carved, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? They are the monopoly in the industry. They are the behemoth that is just sets the standards. And I've said a few times, one of the problems we have with the independent sculptors, like myself but not including myself, is that there's nobody there to check the work for them. So if you don't understand miniatures and you don't paint models and you don't, you're not involved in it as a hobby side of things, you've only got your own judgment to go on, and if your own experience is limited, then your judgment is going to be flawed. That being said, even people who can sculpt and are in the hobby aren't necessarily going to have that same eye for quality, where they're going to be able to do good poses, or understand what makes a good model, if you like. So a little bit of knowledge doesn't also account for, or doesn't automatically account for, the experience as well. Let's just pop that there. Let's see who's that. It's my sister chatting birthday presents. Christmas presents, sorry. I was supposed to have told her about 2 months ago some ideas for Jacob for his Christmas present, and I forgot. So I'm getting told off. Right, let's just sort that little bit of crease out there I've just made. Not the one I didn't want. Okay, so let's mirror this leg over in a second. I don't tend to stream on the weekends, to be honest. I might do on the occasional evening. So if I can get leave from the wife for a little bit, if she's busy doing other stuff, I might get on the stream on the night. But I want to start doing some like painting streams as well, because like I said, I do a lot of painting on the evenings, and if I do an evening, it might be that one of them ends up being a painting one. But all of my old streams, they're all recorded. So if you come back later and pop onto my YouTube channel, or my Twitch channel, you'll see all of the previous videos, and they're all pretty descriptive in the title what I'm making. So you can jump onto any of them and have a little look and see what's going on. But I stream as often as I can. But if you need anything, if you want anything in the meantime, just ping us a message. You know, just find me on Facebook, or let's say through the website or anything else, and just give us a shout anytime. But enjoy your day out, whatever you're up to. Right, let's get this ugly bugger's head made, I think. I'm not going to have much more time at the moment. Because Hayley's going to be back with Willow soon. Well, she's probably back now already, to be fair. But then she's going to have to go out with her again, so... My head about there feels about right. Right, so this head. My work day now is still pretty disrupted. So I tend to get down to the office after the school run's done. So back from the school run about 9 o'clock. Go through some stuff with Hayley first thing, just to make sure she's set up and knows what she's doing for the day. We've got a plan of attack, and then I come down to the office about 9:30. Get started with a bit of sculpting. After grabbing a brew in the house, of course, first. And I tend to sculpt through till about 1ish, typically. And then I'll come up the house for a bit of dinner, a bit of lunch. Back down the office until, say, 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then of an evening, just like a little bit more work where I've got the brain capacity to do it. So yeah, cheers, Chris. It's nice. It's different doing one from scratch. I don't typically do a sculpt from scratch where I can avoid it because of the extra time it takes. I think Just Eat always seem to know when my stomach's grumbling, so I always get messages from them just as I'm about to think I need some food. Twitch message from King Gamer. Oh, it's a bot, is it? I was going to say, it made no sense to me, so that makes sense if it's a bot. I haven't had many bots. I tend to get the YouTube bots coming in with the what do you call it? Single girls here. For single girls, click here kind of thing. Tend to get them ones on the YouTube, but that's it. I've not had Twitch bots yet. I must be getting more successful with it. Right, let's put some cheeks in on this dude. There's a little bit of Urukai about this guy, isn't there? In his kind of design. Was that intentional, was it, Chris, then, or... oh, God. Don't envy you there. It's hard enough trying to keep track of what everyone's chatting about sometimes when it's all legit. You've got to try and filter out bot nonsense out of there as well. That's just going to be a headache, isn't it? Alright, Briscoe, thanks for joining in. Thanks for the interesting discussions and whatnot. Yeah, I bet, mate. I always think when I start doing these things, I think they look like models my kids would bring home from school. Look, Dad, I made a head. And I amaze myself sometimes where they end up. Like that looks like. You watch this picture now of this like plasticine like Play-Doh model. This will be the thumbnail for the stream on YouTube or something you watch. That'd just be bloody typical, that will. I can always go back and change it though, can't I? Pointer, you're streaming this week, are you? Having a bit of a break today? I still need to go and hit up some of your NMM bits and bobs. Fair play. Are you working today then? Are you at work at the moment, are you then? Or? Fair dues. Oh, I need to definitely widen this head out. So you up to anything nice then, or you just taking some chill time? Are they filming Game of Thrones by you still, or are they? Is that kind of like wrapped up now? Oh, is it? I just assumed they use the same filming location as previous over in Belfast. Ah, right, fair enough. Yeah, it's got a different feel, hasn't it, the new one? I'm enjoying what I've seen so far. Since the last chat, I've seen more of Matt Smith as Damien Targaryen, and he is good. I'm still seeing the Star Wars. Still seeing the what's his name? The Night Ghost from Ghostbusters. Every time I look at him. Do you know? I was thinking the same thing. Suspect it was definitely one of those. It was an abomination the way Game of Thrones finished, and you could tell they just rushed it, and I wasn't impressed with it in the end. And I think what they did, it did take the edge off the whole series. But then with House of the Dragon, I kind of saved it all up so I could binge watch it, and I still haven't actually managed to finish the series yet. But it's better than I expected. I didn't have high hopes for it, if I'm honest, but it's well executed. It is worth a watch. Although I haven't seen it through to the very end yet, so you know, they could still screw it up before the end, I suppose. But point you'll know, is this one based on books, or is this like is this one like is it properly based off books? So like the whole narrative is like in a book, or is it like the Lord of the Rings spin-off where they've taken inspiration and things like that from background and stuff that was written but not explicitly detailed? Yeah, do you know? I will say though, after just the first episode, I was definitely sitting there thinking I'm good for more on this one. It looks like a toothless Yoda, doesn't it? This thing. Also reminds me a little bit of oh, what's his name now? In the Witcher series, you know, when he finds that kind of like bugbear type creature. I can't remember what it was called now. It looks like some cute kind of what do you call it now? I never watched Westworld, you know. I went to go and watch Westworld ages ago because I'd heard about it, and when I was looking for it, all I could find was like the original like movie, which was from like the 1960s or something like that, and it was just like, I was like, no, this can't be the thing everyone's going on about. So I just gave up on it, and then I've realised recently that it's you know, it's an actual thing, it's a modern thing. I think I'm on. I've just seen like Damien tearing across the beach. What was that? Shopify order. Let's hope I'm hearing more of those chinging noises today, hopefully. What's going on in this guy's forehead? We've got a few like veiny bits that I'll add afterwards. He's got a few like study spike type things coming out the back of his head. Let's just stretch the back of this guy's head outwards. Suspect, are we talking about Game of Thrones there, or are you talking about Westworld? About outstaying its welcome. Because I think Game of Thrones, but I think by the time like say like Pointy's saying, like when they got to the point where they just cashed out, and they just wanted to go and do Star Wars. At that point, it was oh god, that's a bit. Let's sort that out. I don't know. These things, eh? Right, let's put his eyeballs in and try and get his face looking like actual proper, because at the moment this just looks nonsensical. So, where's my human for scale? Right, we'll go with that. That'll be slightly bigger, but not much. Don't apologise, man. We were talking about two different things at the same time, and I'd lost track on which one we were on about. Right, so let's just mask off the eyeballs, invert my mask. It's going to sculpt these eyelids around it now. There you go, it looks a bit less stupid already, doesn't it? Were you? I've just watched the Hunt episode. Oh, that's so lie. I was painting during the Hunt episode, so I missed that one. I might have to go back and rewatch it. I'll keep an eye out for you there. Was it fun being in the show? I bet you must have been beside yourself after that. Did you see like the extras kind of like postings then, or? Where were you in Game of Thrones? Let's go back and rewatch that one as well. It's all right, Chris. I know where it's gone wrong, or where it's wrong at the moment. I'm just roughing in details at the moment. I've got a lot of refining to do yet before it actually comes through to the final. His face is much more gaunt than what I've already got. So I've just got to kind of make sure that we get the look. I may give them all a rewatch then, mate, and see if I can spot you in there. Is it obviously you, or are you fully decked out in like in armour and stuff? Oh, so I won't actually see you in there. Chris, you should pitch Thargos to some of the TV production companies, you know. I bet Amazon or Netflix would bite your hand off for it as a... No, I know. We had a chat about it, didn't we, when you were down here for a UK Games Expo? You were saying about the film festival in Cannes, weren't you? About being able to kind of take it there and I'd love to see it. I think it'd be awesome. So what you need to do is you need to build the audience, get loads and loads and loads of people who like love Cursed Empire and the world of Thargos, and then pitch it in and get them all to like petition it or something. Well, I might know someone who can help with that. So we're now at the point where we're starting to try and make him a little bit kind of mean looking. Start trying to get this final aesthetic that's in there. But I need to stop before I start adding all the scars and everything else, because this is obviously going to be a base mesh that we're going to come back and use again. Ah, do you know what I just realised I've done? His nose is in the wrong place. His face is melting. Ah, cheers, man. Saves me having to hunt for it. So just getting some blocking in, some roughing out and all this kind of stuff going on. He is one ugly bugger, isn't he? Oh, thank you, suspect. Have a lovely day, and I'll say if you need any more advice or you want to pick my brains on anything, hit me up anytime. Doesn't have to be on stream. Just ping me a message and I'm always happy to chat, shop and help. I'll be tuning out myself in a second anyway, because I need to go and grab some lunch. I'm saying the wife and little, and I'll be back home now, so it'll be a good time to knock it on the head. Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much. I'll catch you again soon, hopefully. Right. Yes, I have, Chris. I had saved it not that long ago, to be fair, and it auto saved a couple of times on me as well. So I know I've got a good amount of it kind of recovered if needed be. But thank you for the prompt. So what I'm doing here as well, I'm doing everything with symmetry on at the moment. So every part of the sculptor's got symmetry. So once I come to pose it, I'm going to go back in and add some asymmetrical details. So I'm going to do things like move his teeth as well. So at the moment, what we're going to see is all of his teeth are going to be, they ain't going to be nice and neat, but they will be all perfectly symmetrical. But then later on I'm going to go back in and adjust that because they shouldn't be. So I'll make them a lot more crooked, mash them up a little bit, break a few of them when we come to do the final version. Okay, so this is what we've got at the moment. Mouth I know I need to make bigger, or the opening of the mouth I need to make bigger. Better. And then the jaw at the back, I'm just going to bring up a touch and then bring it in like that. Sorry, Chris, I missed your comment about the teeth there. What was that? Innermost teeth are longer. Yeah, I'll sort all the teeth out when we get to the final kind of detail phase. They're almost just placeholders at this point, just to show that he's got teeth. Cheers, man. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with the way it's going actually. There's a few challenges in here. Yeah, it's kind of got almost a broad-headed GW orc without the tusks. But I'm happy with the overall look at the moment. So we'll take the head into the neck here. Get all that hair in. And what I need to do is, right, I need to doctor the anatomy a bit. So I need to bring the chest muscles down, and I need to bring the neck out more. Some of these neck muscles, so they actually go into his head. Right, there we go. Oh. Right then, so I think at that point now I'm going to have to knock that on the head and call it done for now. I'm going to go and have some lunch, and then I'm going to carry on with this off stream, I think, so I can get some more done out later, unless Chris specifically wants me to stream it again, in which case I'll do another scheduled stream next week to finish them up. I'll be back probably Monday doing more streaming. I've got a few more of the Saracen models I want to get working on, so let me just check my calendar. Yeah, I've got Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday to finish up some sculpts for November, so I'll get those ones done, and then on streams on those 3 days, and then back into more Cursed Empire stuff after that. Okay, so it'll be Thursday, Friday next week for more Cursed Empire bits. Okay then guys, there's only a couple of you on stream now, so I'm not going to raid out or anything, I'm just going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining me again today, and thanks for the engaging chat and the conversational prompts. It's been fun, I've enjoyed talking your ears off, so hopefully it's been productive and informative for you all as well. I'm going to save this and log off, and I'll see you on the next stream.